Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, June 10th, 6:19 right now. Market's going to open in about 11 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, then we can get started with our session for this morning. It's good. A couple more things here to set up, and we should be good to go. All right, looks like we're good. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in Premium. And it looks like we're good to go. All right, solid. So I'll give it a few minutes for people to make their way in, and then we'll get started with our analysis for this morning. So as people make their way in, I'm going to go ahead and mark up the liquidity here on the 10-minute first. It's good. 4 hour. Two-hour. So everything's marked up there for the most part. 1 hour. It's good. That's good. 30-minute. 15-minute. And I think that should be it. Back to the 10-minute over here. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, cool. So I've marked up all of the liquidity here on the 10-minute for the most part. It's pretty solid so far. Looks like majority of people, actually like less than half people are here already. So let me see who's here. So morning Marlon, morning Peter, morning Patricia, morning Seren, morning Purity, morning Marco. Morning, everybody. So today is Friday, June 10th. Happy Friday, everybody. It is 6:23 right now, so the market's going to open in about 7 minutes. Looks like people are still making their way in. So as people continue to join, I'm going to go ahead and mark up the liquidity here on the 1 minute as well. Let's start on the 1 hour, and I'll do this real quick, and then we can start with our analysis for today. As we discussed and as I predicted, the market did drop just like we thought was going to happen. Due to the inflation news at 5:30. That wasn't a random occurrence. We knew that was going to happen. I was going to try to set a sell stop, which would have hit my TP for the drop today regarding liquidity pushes, but I ended up canceling it. It would have hit TP though prior to the drop. So I think what I'm going to start doing now is I'm just going to start setting sell stops and buy stops when price gets near these areas of liquidity because I mean, it's really simple to just do it that way and not have to worry about it. Yeah, there's like one right here, but this is a 30-minute time frame, so I'm not going to take that. Let's see if I can find another one here on the one. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of figured out an easier way to do it on MT4. I just right click on the chart now, and then I set up the sell stop that way. And then I'll just edit the TP stop loss from there. I mean, it's a little more work, but it's not really that difficult at all. All right. Looks good. Here's a 10. Five-minute. Lastly, the 1 minute over here. All right, so looks good. Looks like there was an area of liquidity that was right here, as you guys can see. We kind of just missed the entry right now. Well, I wouldn't have taken it because it's so close to open, but that another area of liquidity right here. Price came down. Yeah, went straight to profit. It's all good. I'll catch the next one. So we do have liquidity building up below here. Let's see how far is this. I think it's too close to open. Yeah, it's a little too close to open right here. We'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, there's like another area of liquidity right here. It's really close to open, so if it pushes up a little more, maybe I could set a sell stop and just catch it as it comes down further. All right, let's see. So who's here? It looks like majority of people are here now. So morning Patricia, morning Surin, morning Purity, morning Marco, morning Rashida, morning Alexander, morning Maria, morning Matt, morning Angela, morning David, morning Professor, morning Eduardo, morning everybody. All right, guys. So market is going to open in about 3 minutes. Looking over here at retail sentiment, it is currently 60% long. So we're looking for sells here. On top of that, we'll take a look at the fundamentals over here. Fundamentals are currently down 466 points. So you want to be a bit careful in the market. A lot of stuff is one-sided right now, but the reason you want to be careful is because whenever things are heavily one-sided, then it's going to provide for manipulation in the market, because if everyone thinks price is going to keep dropping, then what are people going to do? They're just going to sell. And it's also Friday. Yes, as Cern mentioned. So looking over here, retail sentiment is currently 60% long, indicating to take sells. Fundamentals here are very bearish. The reason for that is because of the news that had passed not too long ago regarding the inflation in the US. Looking over here at the heat map, I'll refresh this real quick. Here on the heat map, let's see as this refreshes. Refresh again. So everything here is completely red, as you guys can see. Our bias is definitely going to be a sell. The main thing that you guys want to be careful for is that it's too obvious, right? When it's too obvious like this is what makes it a bit risky, because I mean, anything could really happen at this point. typically you think price is going to drop, but then price can, can really go either way. So just be a bit careful when you guys enter. I'll also look for the breakout. Breakout might be a sell, but we'll see when the market does open right here shortly in the next 40 seconds. So in the next 40 seconds over here, we will be looking for a possible breakout sell entry. Or actually not yet. If we get a sell signal, then yeah, but right now, currently it's still buy. Hey, Shannon, morning. Yeah, Shannon said a great morning all. It's raining pips, definitely. All right, guys, so market's gonna open in about 10 seconds. When the market does open, we'll be looking for a possible breakout, obviously. So we'll see where this goes. All right, so we're possibly looking for, we have an overall sell bias for today, so we'll see where this ends up going from this point. But we do have, that's gonna be the bias. So the market is now open, guys. Currently right now we have a bullish signal. So if this closes with this sell signal, then this could possibly be the catalyst for our breakout. So let me see where this is at right here. So there isn't really much movement here at all. I just deleted that. I wasn't going to take this market just open. Liquidity just got kind of pushed down a little lower right here, looks like. Let's see if it actually ends up going down. So there's no confirmation yet of any entry, guys. If this closes here as a bullish candle, this could technically be the breakout, but it's going against the bias. So I don't know if anyone's willing to take that there. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be taking anything today, guys, because the market is it's not really moving smoothly at all. It's kind of just bouncing around back and forth. I'm probably just going to sit out because the inflation is this morning. It just causes the market to be so one-sided that there's no real direction as to like where price is, likely to go or where it's likely not to go. Just due to the fact that everyone thinks price is going to go down. So that's why you want to be careful when there's like heavy news, even though there's a bias, you want to be careful because because a lot of stuff can happen. Like just because like everything here is pointing towards the downside, you can see from let me go to the 1 hour over here. This chart. Okay, so if you guys remember my markup from yesterday, I did mark this up. When price kind of spiked up a little bit, I mentioned that it was indicating that it was preparing for that drop. So here's the 1 hour. I didn't touch this. This is from yesterday. If you guys remember the markup when we took the breakout yesterday, this is the markup that I drew. It played out perfectly. So price came up from here. It came down from here. I mentioned it was going to start dropping, and it dropped right through the channel over here. And this is the problem. You think price is just going to keep dropping like this? Odds are it'll probably keep dropping, but you're going to get a lot of back and forth movement. So going back to the 1 minute over here where it's easier to see, you see how price just keeps bouncing back and forth. This is where it becomes a little more risky because, and there goes the liquidity that I was just talking about earlier. It came and hit through it. If everyone thinks price is going to come down, you'll see price drop a little bit, and then all of a sudden it'll just spike back up like it did right here for this big candle to stop people out that have tight stop losses, and it'll come back down and it'll just keep playing. It'll just keep dropping a little bit. Sooner or later, it'll just spike right back up again and then do the same thing over and over again. So just something to keep in mind. You might need to have a pretty wide stop loss because of the volatility. If your stop loss is too tight, like a 200 pips or so. Let's see. And that would have been good right there. I should have just left my sell stop waiting. Uh, but yeah, if you guys are using a small stop loss, like 200 pips, you guys can see how easy it is to get stopped out, right? Or even at 300 pips. So when the market moves crazy like this, it's kind of best to just sit it out and kind of wait a little bit. Like that right there. So, and you can see how big of a range. So if your stop loss is 300 pips and price randomly spikes up, you'll get stopped out before it comes back into profit. This candle right here is pretty big. It's almost like 1,000 pips. This green candle. Yeah, it was 1,000 pips actually. So just be just be aware of the market conditions today. For one, it's Friday. For two, it's the inflation news was released. Let me check if there's any other news that's coming out today. I don't think price will come back to correct where the inflation news dropped. It was right here. You guys can see the big gap right here. This is the inflation news. I'm also going to mark up opening price, which is right there. So yeah, I'm probably going to sit out the market today, guys. I'm not looking to take any more risk this week. I did have one loss this week, but I had a couple wins, so it just balanced itself out. But I'm still in profit for the week so far. I don't want to risk throwing away the rest of my profits and possibly going to the negative this week by trading on CPI day. So if you guys are not familiar with the news this morning at 5:30, the CPI and core CPI news was released. It was positive, but everything dropped, right? This is the inflation news. And this is what we anticipated. We anticipated, whatever news to happen here and whatever news to happen yesterday, because they had unemployment claims yesterday, plus they had inflation news today. Even though the news is positive, we're still in a recession. So this doesn't mean that we're out of the recession. This just means that the inflationary issues or news was somewhat positive, but it's not enough to bring us out of a recession. So that's why it's still dropped, even though the news was positive. And that's why you don't want to trade based off the news. So I had a couple of questions where people are asking me like, hey, Sean, can you teach me how to read the news? The news here will be positive, but this doesn't necessarily mean price is going to go up, right? We already knew we were in a recession. So even though the news came out right here at 5:30, price still dropped extremely heavily. So it still dropped 6,000 pips. So no matter if there was positive news or negative news, price still dropped. So that's why you should never trade off news. Typically when news comes out, we just wait and we see how the market reacts and we take trades off that. So for the most part, I think that is it right now. Yeah, Ruin said news equals easy way for makers to get their monies. Yeah, and I agree too, Ruin. That's why I typically don't trade during news, and I don't recommend anyone trade during news. Let the news happen, and then after the news has happened, see how the market has reacted to it. So typically, the way that I analyze it is I'll see how news is moving. If it's moving in the direction of bias, then great, I'm going to take the trade. If it doesn't, then I'm going to see how price reacts to it. Like, for example, right here, I would have taken this V3. I wasn't awake. Actually, I was awake at the time. I just didn't see it. I would have taken this V3 here because price dropped after news. And then price pushed up. And then it was a continuation back to the downside. So that since we had the sell over here, this V3, if you guys saw this, I don't know if anyone saw it, but there was a V3 right here. See this V3 right here would have been perfect. Straight to profit target. So regardless of news, I still trade in the direction of bias. Bias is always going to be number one. And then, everything after that is going to be extra. So, all right, back to the charts over here. There's nothing for us to take at the moment. This is not a V3 right here. The reason for that is because we don't have a pending sell at the moment, if you guys are wondering. UJ over here. So this is a UJ from yesterday. It's still running. All right. This is a possible. Actually, it's not even a V1 because we don't have the pending sell. We have a current sell signal right here. So this would, I mean, it looks like it'd be a V1 if there was a pending sell, also V3, but there is no pending sell signal, so there's no entry right there for the V3. It's about 220 pips. Cool. All right, cool. Hey, Kenny, morning. Morning, Lisa. Mauricio said it's dead. No adrenaline rush this morning. And I agree. Mauricio said trading news can be difficult and the price won't always move in the way that it seems logical or connected to the underlying news market. Yeah, and I agree with you too, Mauricio. That's why it's better to just wait. I don't think there's any other news today, so let me check real quick. There's actually news at 7. Okay, so we have prelim UOM consumer sentiment and prelim UOM inflation expectations. So we got 2 news events coming up at 7 o'clock. I'm gonna go and mark that up over here. It is about to be 7, about 20 minutes or so. So we'll have that marked up right there for news. What I'll go and do is I'll mark up over here on the clean chart as well so that you guys can have an understanding how it's price moving over here. So we got that right there with the opening price. 7 o'clock is news. Right there. So we got news coming up over here. So I just got broken. I'm also going to mark up the news price and the opening price right there. All right, so as you guys can see right here, this is when market opened at 6:30. There hasn't really been much movement. Price is pretty much just ranging between this high and this low right here. So this is where market opened, 6:30. And now price is just going back and forth. So it pushed up a little bit, came back down. Now it's back at middle line where opening price is. So not really too much is going on at the moment. Here, it looks like the volatility died down pretty heavily after that drop, or that not really drop, but pushed to the upside, then drop from the opening price. Let's see, there's nothing here right now. You have that high over there. I was kind of pushed up a little bit. Solid. Yeah, other than that, there's not really much for us to take right now. The 10 just pushed down a little lower. Maddie said pivot scalp pending right here. Yeah, the only thing I would be careful for right here is the so this is a pivot scalp right here, but this candle here was kind of big. I'm not going to take it. The market is just not really moving too smoothly. Like these candles here are like, let's see, 500 pips. The volatility here is kind of high. It's like randomly pushing from like random small candles, like volatility die down a bit, and all of a sudden it'll just spike. Volatility will die down and the spike again, and the spike here. Yeah, it's just too hectic. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Well, I'll look for some good trades, but right now I'm not taking any of these right here. Because the volatility is too high. If your stop loss is 300 pips, so here I'm just gonna show you guys. The problem with this here is if you get caught in the retracement, you can get kicked out before it pulls down your TP. So right here, see how like how the volatility picks up. This could have hit your TP, but it also could have like spiked up and hit your stop loss before it hit your TP. Yeah, Maddie said candle was too big. I agree. D said mine hit TP in seconds from that pivot scalp. It was hella risky though. Yeah, no, and I agree too. Yeah, I'm glad that it hit your TP. So I'm still not taking any trades right now. I'm just waiting to see if, you know, if the volatility stays high like this, then we might need to adjust our TP stop loss to accommodate for it. Lately, TP stop loss is fine because it fits the market conditions, but today it's just a bit higher because of the inflation news. I don't think we'll need to adjust it though, because as we go into summer, it's probably going to just, it's going to stay the same. I don't think it's any higher. It's just today specific because of the inflation news. So let's see. Yeah, D said I'm trying to hit my profit goal and get the hell out of the market. I only need 53 to hit my goal, but might call it here. Yeah, I mean, 53 is not too much, D. So if anything, you can always make it up on Monday. Obviously we're going to keep looking for entries here, but it's just too, the market's just a little too erratic right now. That's what I would say. Nice. Steven said he needs 1,000 and pass this challenge. Nice, bro. Just be careful with what entries you decide to take, Steven, because the market is super volatile right now, as you can see. Like it can really help, it can really push in your favor or it can push against it. So just keep that in mind whenever you think about taking something today. Yeah, Maria said another consolidation. Yeah, price is just back into consolidation right now. It's not really doing too much. It's just going sideways from where it currently is right now. But the sideways is it's a big sideways. It's not like it's not like a small consolidation. It's like going back and forth pretty heavy right here. And just a reminder, guys, this is the 1 minute chart. So it's actually moving a lot for the 1 minute. It kind of looks like how it normally does on a 10, because typically on a 10 it'll move about like 500 pips per candle, but it's doing that right now on the 1. Like every candle here is more than 500 pips. So if your stop loss is too tight, you can easily get kicked out and burned. But yeah, anyway, it's not really much going on here. 10-minute over here, nothing either. The 10-minute looks kind of dead, but on the 1 minute is actually moving pretty fast. These candles here have been pretty big as well. So this previous one over here on open was that's a pretty big candle. So it doesn't look like a big candle here, but if you measure it, it's actually a huge candle. So the 630 candle right here, when market open, it was actually a over 2,030 pip move. So just that one candle was over 2,000 pips. So it is moving a lot. Candles might not look big on the screen, but it's moving a lot. And here we go back into the range. See where it goes from here. See if there's any other news this morning to be aware of. Let's see, Biden administration to drop COVID testing requirements for international air travel. Oh man, I know it sucks. I gotta do my COVID testing. I'm doing a lot of traveling these next couple months. I'm gonna have to do. Yeah, that's hectic. So it looks like we gotta do COVID testing again. Other than that, let's see if there's anything else. So inflation rate rose 8.6% in May, highest since 1981. Yeah, so as you guys can see, the inflation rate is rising. It didn't drop as heavy as people thought this month, but it is still dropping, right? I mean, it's still rising. So yeah, let me check the news real quick. So today, yes, today core CPI. Actually, it wasn't exactly super positive. It was just like kind of on point because they were expecting it to be 5% or 0.5% increase, but it was actually 0.6, which was a little bit higher, but it wasn't high enough to really affect it. I don't know why it was green. This should have been neutral. So close to it. This should have been red though. I don't know. Market's weird. Anyways, looking over here at the fundamentals, they're down pretty heavy, still down 536 points. The retail sentiment is currently 61% long. You can see a lot of people here trying to buy the dip. I do not recommend anyone buy the dip here. I think price will continue dropping. You might get to fake out to the upside a little bit, but I think price will just continue to drop further. So, I mean, you can see the number here increasing. That's because a lot of people are trying to buy the dip right now. I don't think price is going to dip back up anytime soon. I mean, it might dip up slightly, but not enough for it to really have an impact. Like I don't see price coming all the way back up to the inflation news this morning. Maybe next week it'll come up and then come back down, but right now, not really. Let me check the heat map. Heat map's all red again still. I mean, it hasn't changed. It's been all red. So it's still all red here. Looking over at the, let me see if there's news next week so we can kind of anticipate where price is probably going to go. There's more inflation news next week. So next Tuesday, we have PPI, core PPI. Wednesday, we have retail sales, core retail sales. So next week is Fed week. We have Fed week next week where the Fed economic projections, Fed statement, federal funds rate, and the Fed press conference on Wednesday. So we're probably going to see price drop even further next week. And then Powell's going to speak on Friday. And unemployment claims on Thursday. So next week's a pretty heavy news week. It's a Fed week. So we're probably going to get a lot of volatility. Fed member Brainerd's going to be speaking on Monday. So I think what we might see is we're probably going to see price kind of push up a little bit on Monday, and then Tuesday it'll drop again. Wednesday it'll drop, Thursday it'll drop further, and then Friday it'll probably pick up a little bit because Powell's going to be speaking next Friday. So just a heads up, guys, for next week. Price is currently just consolidating here, but there's a lot of news next week, which will cause price to be very volatile. So I think we're going to get some back and forth movement probably Monday, and then Tuesday will start dropping again. And then Friday will just correct back to the upside a little bit since Powell is going to be speaking. Other than that, there really isn't anything for us to take right now. As I mentioned, the volatility is too high. This is going to hurt certain positions because the stop loss is just too tight. Like if you take any trade here, so if you take any trade here, this is what your range would be like, right? If you have a 300 pip stop loss, or even if you have 300 to 300, if you have something like that, look at each candle here. Each candle could either hit your TP or it can hit your stop loss. Like if you get really lucky, it'll hit your stop loss. If you get really unlucky, it can hit your, I don't know, vice versa. If you get really lucky, it'll hit your stop loss. Vice versa, if you don't get so lucky, it can hit your sorry guys, I'm confusing myself. If you get lucky, it'll hit your TP. If you get really unlucky, it'll hit your stop loss. So right here is another liquidity push that you could have taken. Like this right here could have been a liquidity push, but you guys can see, like, I don't know where this candle went, this green candle. I don't know if it hit TP first or if it spiked up and maybe hit stop loss. So the liquidity pushes here are hitting, but they are very dangerous. Like for example, this red candle here, if you would have entered this late, or what I'm going to do here is I'll just mark this up. So a heads up, there is liquidity right here sitting. So if you wanted to think about entering a trade there, you could, but I would probably be careful because the thing is it can come down, fill your order, hit your stop loss, and then come back down. Or it can just come down and hit your TP. So it just really depends. Yeah, D said it. Yeah, it's a gambling day. We don't gamble. Yeah, no, definitely. I don't think it's a safe time to trade. Um, I'm tempted, but I don't think I'm going to take the trade. Let's try to see where the sell stop would be placed if I was to enter one here. No, I can't fall into these moves. Just trying to get some FOMO here, but I really shouldn't. I'm just marking it up to see where it would go on the chart. So it does look like it'll probably hit. So let's see. We're watching it now. Now it's currently filled. Not that I recommend you guys take it, but I'll show you guys here where this can literally go one way or the other really, really quickly. And look how that thing spiked up right there, right? So we're just using this as an example to show you guys how risky it is to trade right now, because it can literally go and hit your TP. Like there it goes, it's getting close to it. Let's see if it hits, and it does hit. So you can either get lucky, but you can see how far it spiked up right here, right? Like within 1 second. In 1 second, it spiked up like nearly like straight to your stop loss almost. It spiked up 200 pips, like 100 pips away from your stop loss. And as I showed you, as I was mentioning, you can either get really lucky and it'll hit your TP like it did right here, or it can hit at your stop loss before it's your TP. So just, I would recommend just be careful today, guys. I'm not going to take any trades. I think I'm just going to call it a week for myself personally on my accounts. I'll stay on this live to like look for entries and analyze and answer whatever questions you guys have. But trading wise, I think I'm going to sit it out for the most part. It's just not worth the risk, especially with all the high volatility right now. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. I just wanted to use this as an example to show you guys how risky this can be to enter these trades. And obviously right there, it blasted right through TP. But you can see how close it was to hitting the stop loss before it reached that point. This is why you need a big enough cushion to withstand these volatility pushes, because obviously price could spike up real quick before hitting your TP, but eventually it probably would hit your TP. Thanks, Maddie. News coming up in about 6 minutes or 4 minutes now. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I can answer whatever questions you guys have. Otherwise, I'll just keep analyzing the chart, see if I can find anything here overall. But for the most part, at the moment, this is too risky of a market for me to want to trade in personally. So here, check this out, guys. This is where the liquidity was sitting earlier, right? With the liquidity sitting right there, you guys can see exactly where it pushed to. It just pretty much pushed to the next level of liquidity right here. So if you guys have seen like Kevin's profits and stuff, typically he'll ride his profit to the next area of liquidity. And you guys can see the big spike right here, right back to the upside. So there are different target points where you could, enter or exit trades. But for me, I like to keep it fixed so that I can get in and out. Here, let's see. Question from B. B's asking for a liquidity push. How long do you have to wait for the low to confirm? Could it technically be following candle or wait a few candles after? So I typically want it to be at least like 4 to 5 candles after B, so that it'll be established. So that, because here's the thing, if you go and back test the strategies, or if you try to go back and see the previous entries for this specific strategy, you can only back test the stuff that where it's been established, right? So like, for example, right here, if you were to use this right here as liquidity, I'm just going to use a rectangle instead, so it's easier to see. So if you're using this level right here as liquidity, like this point right here, you can backtest and see that it hits almost every time. So I typically like to wait for it to establish so that it's actually on the chart. So if you're using basic logic, you're like, okay, if the previous entries like that have been hitting odds are if you're waiting for that to close and for it to actually establish where it doesn't disappear, then it's probably going to hit. Because if you look back at all of these other liquidity pushes, like say, for example, like these right here, right? Liquidity right there, when price broke below it, it actually hit pretty heavy. And then again, right here, this another area of liquidity, when price broke below, it actually worked. So I would probably wait about 4 to 6 candles. I can't remember what the number was. Let me check I know it's on the high low. Yeah, high low scalp. Okay, 5 candles. Yeah, so wait 5 candles until it establishes. Once it's established, then you can use it as an area of liquidity. Okay, price pushed a little lower. Just drop it down there. So yeah, just wait for it to establish first. I know it can get you guys get impatient. You guys want to funnel into a trade, but from my perspective, if you go back and just look at like how everything over here plays out, it's better to wait for it to establish, because this thing can keep getting retested over and over again. Like the same low over here that I had earlier, it's now being broken and it's creating a new low from that point. So here's a news candle right here. We'll see how this closes, and then I'll line up the news price once it's done. Shannon said those videos I watched helped me catch mad pips pre-market. Nice work, Shannon. Yeah, I did see you've been doing pretty good lately, which is great because you're just going to keep getting better. So let's see if there's anything over here real quick. Make sure I'm not missing anything. No, it looks like we're good. All right, so I'm still not looking to take any entries right now, guys. Let me see if there's any other questions here. If there's any other questions, guys, just put them in the chat. I'll answer whatever you guys need help with. Kenny said, all right, so Biden's going to speak in about 3 hours. It says President Biden addresses inflation at the Port of Los Angeles. So something to keep in mind later if you guys do decide to trade later today, which I don't recommend. Other than that, let me scroll up real quick. Yeah, Maddie said, I think I'm done for the day. Hit my profit goal. Yeah, nice work, Maddie. Yeah, just like we had our talk yesterday, bro. Like, if you're good and you hit your profit goal, just call it a day. One thing that I want to remind you guys is that, because I know well, I mean, this happens to everybody. Like people get into a slump sometimes and they can't get out of it. The way that, and a lot of people always ask me, like, how am I able to stay calm during trades, and how am I able to, always be on point, especially on the lives here. The thing with me, guys, is that a lot of people need to learn how to step away from the charts, right? I know it's like an addiction for a lot of people. People just love to trade, and it's gambling, really. The only thing is that you want to gamble when you have an edge in the market. If you guys are not focused and you guys can't, follow strategies properly, and you guys are taking shortcuts and whatnot because you're getting impatient, you're getting FOMO, it's probably a sign to step away from the chart. So if you guys have a profit goal in mind, or what I was telling Maddie yesterday, for me, I only take like 1 or 2 trades a day, but they typically hit. Like you'll have like hundreds of entries that will come up, but if you can pick out one of those good entries that actually hits for an entire day, you can be done. Like for me, if you guys have seen my profits, I typically go for the same range every time. I always have a set TP stop loss. Not like from yesterday, but like prior. This was kind of like over trading over here for sure, because I don't take those many trades. For me, I typically go for like about 1,000 profit per trade. And I just wait for one good trade, 1 or 2 good trades. So I make 1,000 or 2,000, and then it adds up because I have like 5 accounts. So it's not that difficult for me to really build up from there. Normally, if you look at my trades here, I'm usually taking like 1 to 2 trades. So the day before that, I took 2 trades here. Out of like the 100 to 200 entries that came up on the chart, I picked 1 or 2 that were good, and I reached my profit goal. So one thing that everybody needs to remember is you don't have to trade every single trade. Focus on the quality trades, and just focus on winning versus the profits. Because once you guys focus on the profits, you'll start to get greedy, and that's where you start to overtrade, revenge trade, all of the above. So other than that, let me scroll up real quick and see what else we've got. PC said if one is confident today is the day to do liquidity push without stop loss so as not to be taken out by, yeah, and I agree with you too, PC. Not something I would recommend, but if you're very, very confident with the liquidity pushes, this would be a good time to take them. The stop loss is really the big issue here, because I mean, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. It's a good thing because you'll be able to stay in the trade. You'll be able to catch the moves. However, it's a bad thing because if you get too overly confident, then you know, it can easily go opposite and it can go past your risk appetite. So not that I'll ever recommend you guys trade without a stop loss, but if you guys do, that's going to give you the cushion. Just make sure to use proper lot sizing. Let's see. Yeah, Shannon's is studying hard. About to watch him again. Yeah, I mean, the more knowledge, the better. Let's see everything else here. Professor said, folks, have a great weekend. Catch you all on Monday. Definitely, Professor. We'll see you then. Craig is asking, when you are looking to take a liquidity push, how close to the liquidity level you let price get before entering? I enter right off the liquidity, Craig. So I don't enter early, I don't enter late. I enter like right on the point. So let me see. I can't really show you an example here because I don't want to mess up any of these charts, but let me see if I can find one over here real quick. So like, Peter's asking once it touches the line. Yeah, that's why. So if you guys were listening yesterday and on the mentoring session, I mentioned I put sell stops. So if you guys weren't sitting in on the last mentoring session, that's probably a good video for you guys to watch. I typically set sell stops. So I like, let me just see if I can find one here that was established. Like the one that I just showed you guys, where was it at? I think it was this one. So literally the one that I just showed you guys right now. I can't remember where it was. It wasn't this one. I think it kind of moved. Okay, so this is like, I'll just show you a quick example. Right, so quick. Actually, this wouldn't be one here because we were looking for cells. My bad, guys. Let me check real quick if there's another one over here. Yeah, because the bias has been a sell. Okay, so I'll just use this as an example right here. So if you're trying to enter something like this right here, or let me just go back one candle. So if we have an area of liquidity like this right here, like it's already been established. So you identify the liquidity using the high-low indicator. The price reaches that point, I set a sell stop. Right there. Like the sell stop is already ready to go. When it comes down and hits it, it just fills the order and it goes straight to my TP. That's how I would do it. Or that's how I do it. And it's pretty simple. I mean, for some people, it's kind of difficult to set sell stops, but for me, I'm like used to it because I've been doing it for a while. I'll either do that, or if I'm watching it, I will just enter a market entry using the DOM. So if I'm just watching it and I'm seeing price come down, as soon as price comes down and hits the line, I'm already going to hit sell on the DOM. And then from there, it'll automatically set my TP stop loss. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but those two would be the main ways of doing it. I think the sell stop or buy stop will probably be the easiest option. If you know how to do it properly. If not, you can just hit the DOM as soon as price gets to that point. Correct. Sorry, but I never made last night's session. I'm halfway through it during work. Had a pause for today's live session. Yeah, no, that's fine, Craig. But it's a good video to go back and rewatch because that's kind of where I covered it a little more. But I typically enter on the line where the liquidity is. But it has to be it has to be a double liquidity. It can't be something like this. Like this is not going to be an entry for a liquidity push. It needs to be something like this, like the lines right next to each other. Like if that was established there, then yeah, that'd be a liquidity push right there. But yeah, other than that, let me scroll down a little bit. Mace said, I see a gap on US30 between 32,230 and to 32,125 area. Does that mean anything? So the gap was on the news, Mace. I'm not sure if you were following the news earlier. It was inflation news. So that's like one of the, the very high impact news events. That's why we have a line up there, because this was news price. This was 529, 530 right here was a gap because of the inflation news. As I mentioned before, we're in a recession, so obviously price is going to go down. So even though the news was positive, today, people still sold because we're in a recession. So like when people sold, it just gapped because it moved so fast. But it doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just the data feed here just didn't fill. There's technically a whole candle right here. This isn't like it's not just a dead space. This is an actual candle right here. Like this candle was supposed to be down here, but it moved so fast that it didn't show up on the chart. So, and I'm going to keep reading the rest of Mace's question. Mace is asking, normally I've seen those areas being filled later on, so possibly price will go up for manipulation. I don't think so. Typically when you see something like that is when market, like when it's not obvious, right? This is obvious because we're in a recession, so we know price is going to come down. Like if you have a news event and something spikes like that, or Biden speaks, or Powell speaks, or someone speaks that will cause prices to create a gap, then you'll see it correct back up. But for me personally, I don't think this is going to correct back up because we already know price can keep going down. And as people continue to enter the market for today, people are just going to bandwagon onto those sells. Yeah, price may push up a little bit, but this is a pretty big push to the upside if it does end up filling that. So this is going to be about 7,540 pip move. It's a really big move right there. So that's why I don't personally think it's going to, like most likely not for today. Other than that, let me see if there's anything else here for me to look at. Yeah, no problem. I may say cool thing, Sean. I've seen a lot of forex pairs, maybe different with US30. Yeah, no, it's like way different with US30. The reason why it happens with the forex pairs is because the market closes during the swap. It's similar to like how it closes over the weekend, but it typically does that during the day as well. So Mauricio said, wasn't the news negative? That's what I thought. I thought the news was supposed to be negative because the number here is still increased. They were forecasting it to be 0.5%. As the inflation actually went up higher to 0.6%. So I thought this would have been negative, but for whatever reason, it's green. I thought this would be either neutral or it'd be negative. Oh no, so okay. So the reason why it's positive right here is because they forecasted it to be that much. Actually, no, that was previous. So it was close to their forecast. That's why it is green right here. I don't know why this here is green though, because they were forecasting it, or I guess, okay, it makes sense. Previously it was 0.3. They're forecasting it to be higher. So this number here doesn't necessarily, here's the thing that I kind of got confused with for a bit. This number here doesn't necessarily mean the news is positive. This means that it was in line with Forex Factory's forecast. So they predicted it to be higher and it did go higher, and that's why it's green. But it's typically, this isn't good because inflation isn't going to be good for the economy. Yeah, no, exactly. Mauricio said it makes no sense for it to be green. And I agree with you too, Mauricio. This is only because it aligned with their forecast. So if they're right or if they're wrong, then that's typically why it changes. Yeah, exactly. You know, exactly what Tony said. And I agree with you too, Mauricio. Yeah, Mauricio said green means higher than projected, which is a weird color system. Yeah, no, Tony. So Tony said, I think you have it opposite, Tony. So Tony said it means price of goods increase. Yes, that's correct. But that's not good for the economy. That's bad for the economy. If you're paying like $1 for bread now and you're paying $2 for bread tomorrow, that's not good for the economy, right? Because things are more expensive and you're not making more money. So no, that's not the case, Tony. If you read this, so like here, if you open this, Tony, you can read, it tells you what the usual effect is. So just because it's higher doesn't always mean it's going to be better. Like for example, if yeah, just read this, Tony, because they're different. Sometimes it could be red and it'll be better. All right, Tony, whatever. It's okay. You can go explain yourself and somebody else can listen, but it's relevant, right? It's still relevant. Anyways, so whatever price is doing, guys, it can be positive or it can be negative, but it doesn't mean the price is going to go in that direction. So like the news was positive, as Tony says, the price will drop here. So yeah, no, exactly. Mauricio said higher prices, people buy less jobs needed, et cetera. Yeah. So which makes it not good for the economy because if inflation goes up, then people can't afford things, um, which is bad for the economy. And it's just basic economics, right? People have, if price is going up, people are making less money. People can't shop. There's, e-commerce, or not just e-commerce, but commerce in general doesn't come full circle, and the economy goes down. So, all right. Anyways, let me just go back up. We just kind of went too deep into that conversation, which was just a bit irrelevant. So let me scroll real quick and see what else I'm missing here. Eduardo said he tried that twice and bounced right back up. How big is your stop loss there? Stop loss is typically going to be 300 pips, Eduardo. So, depending on how the volatility is, if the volatility is really high, you might need a wider stop loss. But if if the volatility is low, you can use a smaller stop loss. It just depends on the market conditions. Like currently right now, the market conditions are like the range here is really wide. It's about 500 pips. So if your stop loss is too tight, it's going to be easy for your stop loss to get hit. So it just depends on how fast the market's moving. Typically, it doesn't move this fast. It's typically moving like 300 pips or less. So you can have a 300 pip stop loss, but right now it's moving like 500 pips. So you want to be a bit careful. Maybe you might want to even increase it. But for me personally, I typically just leave it at 300. I don't like to take on too much risk because, if you start to take on too much risk, it just it can easily turn on you pretty quick. So let's see. Some people here posted some profits. Kenny over here posted his profits for the day. He took some sells. He locked in a total of 2,729. Nice work, Kenny. His second account over here as well, locked in a total of 4,020. So nice work right there, Kenny. And then his third posting right here, he locked in a total of 4,472. So it looks like Kenny's been taking some of these liquidity pushes and just letting them run for the most part. So great work right there, Kenny, with your profits for the day. Looking over here, Kevin said, I'm traveling today, but made a few trades pre-market. I don't trade news, but decided to do it this morning because I knew the news wouldn't be positive and inflation and a looming recession paid off, caught a huge drop. So he made some pretty crazy profits right here. It's a big loss right there too, though. So, well, I'm glad to see that you bounced back from it. So it looks like you might have gotten caught in the volatility spikes, but you made it right back with all these other trades over here. So nice work, Kevin. That's crazy. If this is your personal account, that's huge profits for like one day. I mean, you've been having like crazy days lately. Kenny over here as well. We looked at his profits. He locked in 2,700. His second account 4,000. I already marked that up earlier, so I'm not going to copy that over. Nelly over here locked in a total of 6,944. As you guys can see, Nelly took sells here as well. Right after market open, you can see his first trade was at 633. So basically from 633 till 7 o'clock, he took a bunch of sells here and he let most of them run to TP, added up to a total profit of 6,944. So great work right there, Nelly. Other than that, let's see if there's anything else here that I'm missing. Patricia over here, she said taking it easy, done for the day. She locked in a total of 1,331. Nice work, Patricia. Coming over here, Barack said my challenge is coming around. So he locked in a total profit of 1,173 for the day. Nice work, Barack. Yeah, I mean, great profits all around, guys. If you guys have more profits to send in, feel free to send them in. Kenny over here again, 2,729. Luis over here, he's currently at 15,500. Yeah, Luis said, having a good morning so far. Traded this morning before news session, and through news session, I'm up in 2 trades right now, up on the 7K. Nice work, Luis. Yeah, so doing pretty solid. Here's the news from Nico. He just dropped this right here. He said, yeah, Dow falls 700 points. NASDAQ drops nearly 3% after inflation readings hit. So yeah, obviously, of course, it's supposed to be negative. That's why we typically want it to, or we typically want to trade, against it. So Maddie over here as well. Maddie locked in a total of 1,035. He hit his profit goal for the day, 1,000. So great work right there, Maddie. His other account locked in a total of 1,971. So nice work right there too, Maddie. Great work, guys. A lot of profits across the board here, across everyone's accounts. Yeah, we're leveraging bond. Emilzon over here as well. Emilzon said this was a win for 100 pips, but gave me a loss. I entered a sell system, closed me automatically within seconds. Oh, that's weird. It's weird. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like Melzon might have gotten caught in what's it called? In slippage. Yeah, that's weird. So Melzon over here, he took a trade to hit TP. It looks like your TP was too close. Actually, I just looked. TP. It's too close. So you got caught in the spread, Melzon. Your TP was just way too close. Your entry here was at 31,727. Your exit was at 31,729. So you like try to exit with like less than like basically like exactly on 100 pips, and the spread was like 110. So if that was the case, then you probably got caught in the spike. The spread's 110, so you have to cover that at least. So you would have to have been at like 28.90 plus another 10. So you would have to be like slightly above this number right here. So I don't know like where you set your TP. I think you might have set your TP at the wrong point, Melzon, because if you set it on the DOM, it would have pushed it up like an extra 100 pips. Like you would have this, plus you'd have, this would probably be like 39, not 29. And that's how you would make the 100 pips, but yours is too close right here. So you didn't even cover spread. That happens if you put in the number manually. So if you put in the TP manually, then you might get caught in this right here. But if you set the DOM, it'll automatically set it. It's not going to be exactly 100 pips away, but it's going to be like maybe 220 pips because it'll cover the spread plus it'll give you the profit on top of that. All right, so other than that, I think that's it for this right here. Scotty over here as well. He locked in a total of 2,300 and or 2,233 for the day. Nice work, Scotty. Took all sells today. The last trades over here hit TP. The rest are kind of just quicker moves. So nice work right there. Scotty and everybody else who sent in their profits. If you guys still have profits to send in, send them in. I'll add them to the list to be posted later today. Other than that, let me scroll down a little bit. Steven's asking, how do you feel about just taking 10-minute snipes? I feel fine about it. I mean, it's a good strategy, but you have to follow it properly, Steven. So that's the thing that I have to remind you and like everybody else, not just you specifically, but you guys have got to remember that you have to confirm the bias, right? This is like the number one step that everyone misses. Like, I don't know if Kurt's here, but Kurt was like literally arguing with me about like why he kept losing trades. And I'm like, bro, you're not following the strategy, follow the strategy. And he's like, I am following the strategy. And I'm like, okay, when did you take that trade that you lost? And he said, just now. And I said, exactly. You didn't follow the strategy. You skipped the very first step. There was no bias yesterday. So like, this is like, it's literally the first step, guys. If there's no bias, there's no entry. And yeah, sorry guys, 1 second. Yeah, so the thing with the strategy, guys, is I put these requirements here for a reason. They're not here for you to ignore. They're not here for you to skip. Like, if you guys ever have any losses, you guys can show me exactly what trade, and I can tell you exactly why you lost the trade. You skipped one of the steps here. So yeah, Stephen, I feel very comfortable about taking the snipes, but you have to make sure that you're confirming the overall bias. You know, it just blows my mind out. Like I literally give you guys a step-by-step process here. And then for whatever reason, people are like, okay, I'm just going to skip the first step and I'm gonna go and just do everything else. And then they wonder why they lose. You lost because you didn't follow the strategy properly. You know, a lot of people here are winning every single day. Like if you look at everyone's profits every day, majority of people here are always winning because the thing is they follow the strategies properly. You know, if you can't follow basic directions, you're probably not going to do well. Not just trading K2, but in general, because for any rule-based strategy, the rules are there for a reason. So you have to make sure that there's an overall bias. So back to what you were asking, Stephen, I feel good about the snipes, but you got to make sure that you confirm the overall bias before you take any trade. If there's no bias, you can't take a snipe in that direction. I know this wasn't a strategy requirement previously, like in the past, maybe like 2 years ago, but we've been using this for like over a year now. And this is, it's a set in stone requirement. If this doesn't hit, if this doesn't satisfy, then there's 100% no entry for you to take. So just keep that in mind, guys. If and when you guys are taking trades, there's going to be some trades where it's not required, but for the most part, it is required for almost every trade. Let's see. All right, cool. I just saw your message, Craig. Problem. Yeah, thanks, Peter. Peter, yeah, confirmed that there's news events that come up on my FX book. We did look at this before. You know, I actually have it on my calendar already. Or my list. So we do have a couple of news events coming later on today. I'll just keep these both up to make sure that we don't miss anything. But yeah, it looks like there was a couple other news events here at 7. Usually they're going to line up with like other news events, so it's fine. Like over here in Forex Factory, we had news at 7 o'clock. And then we also had those other ones that weren't even listed. Inflation expectations, etc. So yeah, thanks, Peter, for the update on that. Market's not really doing much. Looks like volatility kind of died down a bit. People have basically pulled out for the weekend. Let me scroll down a little further. Yeah, Rick said we're in an OnlyFans economy. Yeah, we got to get Rick's link out there. May said she took another liquidity push. She took that at 720. So you took that a little earlier over here. So nice. If you hit your TP, great. I'm still not taking anything today. Let's see. D said following the rule of confirming bias increases your win rate, hella, and it makes you so much more confident with your trade. Got to follow that rule. Yeah, and I agree too. I mean, there's a reason why I put the rules there, guys. Whenever I create a strategy or I give you guys the requirements, they're there for a reason. So make sure to apply them properly. I'll probably have to renew or I'll make a new snipe video because I know the snipe video doesn't include the bias, but we will. I'll create a new video for that so that you guys can be aware. Currently, right now, yeah, Maddie just confirmed that retail sentiment is 63% long. So we're definitely looking for sells here. It's 63% long. The fundamentals are currently down 700 or almost 800 points. So this is crazy. Prices dropped. These are like almost close to COVID numbers where prices dumping this much. Typically, if it's like more than 500 points, then it's pretty heavy. And obviously you can see here, the alpha is 800 points, which is where it's currently at right now. The one thing that I would recommend you guys do is don't chase the drop though, because once there's enough people like lured into these sells right here, I could already see price being manipulated to the upside to stop them out before it continues right back down further. So I don't recommend anyone chase the sells. If you see something good, then yeah, great, go ahead and take the trade. But if you don't just take a trade for no reason, because my gut's telling me that it's going to continue to drop, but it's going to push up to stop people out before it drops further. Because it can spike up like at least 1,000 pips right here. So if you think about it, 1,000 pips is not that much, right? This can easily come up, stop you out, and come back down. And then it'll push again, stop people out a second time, and then it'll come back down again. So just keep that in mind. When something like this happens and it's super overextended, because the thing is, we already knew price was going to drop since like London session because the bias was already a sell. So right here, we already knew price was going to come down. The thing is, if you miss this move, don't be like the sucker that's going to get caught in entering so late, because whoever's entering down here, they're going to get suckered in entering because they FOMO'd in all late, and now price is going to come up and stop them out. But everyone who entered earlier is already out in profit. So just don't fall for that trap, because I'm sure you guys have fallen for that before in the past, where you guys chase the drop, or you chase the push to the upside, and it ends up coming, obviously right back down. So other than that, let's see. Sam said, had some old liquidity set on NASDAQ and managed to recover my loss, then some from yesterday. So right here, Sam locked in a total of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, about 4,000 here in profit, with all the profits added up for his account so far. So nice work right there, Sam, and great recovery from your losses yesterday. Purity over here, she said, still on gold, took some losses, getting my feet wet with liquidity, but I need $100 more and I'll finally be passing her demo account. Nice work, Purity. So Purity's been doing the trial account here for FTMO, I'm assuming, and she's almost there. So guys, it doesn't matter if you're doing a demo account, trial account, real account, I don't know, whatever type of account you guys are doing, guys, as long as you guys are making progress, that's really what matters, right? Don't care about like what other people say, because I know there's always a lot of haters out there who are going to say, oh, you're trading demo, you're not trading anything real. But whatever, you're doing better than them. So great work, Purity. Once you pass this, and maybe if you pass another one, you can do, a real account. And then from there, you'll just continue to do what you've been doing and you should be fine. So other than that, let's see if there's anything else here. Kenny said the price of gas is going up. So the price of horse. So is the price of a horse, right, Kenny? Yeah, Kenny, I think you live out there, huh? You live out in the Midwest, or I don't know, maybe where you can have that. I don't know. I can imagine Kenny coming to the lives on a horse, or what's his name? I forgot, we have a member who has like pictures of him riding horses, which kind of just kind of came into mind. I think Sisik knows who that is. Anyways, let me update this right here. There's it's too close. I mean, technically there's an area of liquidity that's like right there. Not one that I would take, but there is an area of liquidity right there. The reason why I wouldn't take it is because we're in a sell bias. The bias here is very strong. The sentiment is current, or fundamentals are down 700 points. Retail sentiment is currently 64% long, I believe. It's not loading. Anyways, we're bearish here on retail sentiment, bearish on the fundamentals. Heat map here is all red. Yeah, so it looks pretty solid for the most part. I mean, we're still looking for sells here. Not that I would take anything. So right there, if you were to take that liquidity push, looks like it already hit actually. Not one that I would take though. So just keep that in mind, guys. I'm just marking this up to show you guys where the liquidity is. And there you go, full TP. So as you can see, I marked it up for you guys earlier. It played out exactly how the liquidity pushes do play out. The thing with this strategy is that it's cool when the market is ranging. So like when you don't have a bias, like for this whole week, basically this whole week, the bias here was like 50-50. So if there's no bias, you can technically take these liquidity pushes both ways. However, when there is a bias, I don't like to trade against it. So there you go. There goes that liquidity push that I just marked up for you guys. And there it goes, price pushes up higher. So this is why you don't want to chase the drops or the pushes up, because price has been dropping. Price is now pushing up to stop people out. And then at that point, price may make its way right back down. Rick said stepped away. Are we taking the back to open? No. So I would only take the back to open if it was in the direction of the bias. So here's where I would take the back to open, like how Rick was saying. So like if price pushed up like super heavy, and then we had a sell bias, then yeah, I would take the back to open back because I knew price was going to come back down. That's when I would take it. I would not take it against the bias here. Yeah, Peter said minimum 150 lots, Rick. And imagine if you caught something like that, Rick. So if you took 150 lots, that'd be $15 a pip. Back to open for 2,320 pips. So 2,320 pips times 15 bucks. And Rick would be static, 34K. That's crazy. It's possible though. I mean, it is possible, but it's super, super risky. I mean, not a risk that I would personally take. I don't like losing trades, guys. So like for me, it's different. Some people are okay with losing trades, and you know that's part of their trade psychology. So they trade high risk, high reward strategies. For the strategies that we apply here, they're very low risk, but they're average reward, right? Because we do trade, well, depending on what strategy we're applying, we do trade with a negative risk to reward. But the thing is, we don't really lose trades. So if you can just focus on like a couple of trades like that with higher lot size, then it's not really an issue for us. So everyone's trading style is different. If you guys are okay with losing and you guys don't get you guys don't really get bothered by losing trades, then yeah, you can use a high risk, high reward strategy. And that's typically what a lot of people trade with. I'm sure if you guys have like learned trading from other people, that's typically what they teach, right? They teach you to have a small stop loss and a huge TP. That doesn't work for everybody. That's the thing that you guys have to understand. Like for us here, we use a negative risk to reward, but it works for us because we rarely lose. And if you understand that, it makes sense. There's no one way to trade. There's like hundreds of ways to trade. You just have to figure out what works best for you personally. Rick said back to open to July 9th, 1987. Right. But yeah, guys, I mean, you guys can use whatever strategies you guys want. For us, obviously, we just, we stick to what we know and what we're good at. I've been trading live like this for the past, I think, almost 4 years now. So if you guys want to see the consistency of the strategies, you can see that they actually work long term and all year round. They're not like seasonal strategies where they only work during the fall or they only work during the winter or the spring. We can use this pretty much all year round. Other than that, I don't really see much else here. See, Milzon said, yeah, it's weird. I used DOM 100,000 pips. They were trying to get, yeah, I mean, probably. Probably spike. Yeah, Milzon basically said, because they gave him a free win yesterday. He's like, they're trying to get their money back. But that happens sometimes, guys. When the volatility is super high, the spread will sometimes spike at a random, and then it'll cause you to take a loss, even though you had your TP in profit. And Rick said the flat Earth strategy is his favorite one. I bet. All right, guys. So it's 7:40 right now. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping this up soon. The reason why we're wrapping it up a little earlier than usual is because there's really nothing for us to take in the market right now. I'm personally not entering any trades. So if I'm not entering any trades, that should be, a light bulb for you guys, indicating that it's not a good time to trade. The one reason that I don't want to trade right now is because market is so overextended, right? So now that market's overextended, this gives room for manipulation because they can easily push price up and say, oh, price is just correcting from the drop earlier, or price can continue dropping after the fake out. So I personally am not going to trade. And if you guys were to ask me if I think you guys should trade today for the rest of the day, I would say no, because it's just not worth the risk. A lot of you guys made a lot of profit with us this week. So it'd probably be in your best interest to just call it a week and then come back next week. Because we have another big week next week. It's Fed week. So we're going to have a lot of volatility next week. The last thing you want to do here is get caught in some losses. Then you'll be in a hole next week instead of just going to the weekend with profits and picking back up on Monday. Yeah, D said I'm gonna head off the charts. Have a great weekend, everyone. Yeah, definitely, D. We'll see you on Monday. Peter's asking, do you think it's possible to program an indicator to automatically put the liquidity lines as they come up also once they hit to be removed? Yeah, so I am working on something like that right now, Peter. I did send the request to my brother, so my brother is going to be working on that hopefully over the weekend. I got to follow up with him. The only problem with that is that the main thing is going to be the problem with using different time frames, because you guys have seen here how I draw the liquidity on the higher time frames. You're still going to have to do that by hand. So you have to do that by hand, and then once you get to the something like a specific time frame, this is where it will be automatically plotted. The only other problem is going to be trying to get these lines set up. I got to figure out, because I don't know if we can do raise like this. It might be something like the SRs. So it might come up something like that, and the problem with that is just it makes the chart super messy. So we'll try to work on that, and then if we find a solution to that, then I'll have my brother produce the code, or not produce the code, but we'll just update the indicator so that it has that function on there. Yeah, I've been thinking about that for a while, Peter, because it does make things a whole lot simpler, right? So you don't have to go and draw these stupid lines. I mean, not that I mind it, because I kind of like being active on the charts, but it would be a nice addition to US30. All right, here's the UJ from position yesterday, still running. This is the intraday entry that I entered into. I'm gonna have to close it before the weekend though, so keep watching that. But yeah, guys, other than that, I don't really see anything else here. C6 said daily goal hit, have an incredible weekend. K2 fam, thank you, Sean. Take care. Yeah, definitely, C6. We'll see you on Monday. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat right now. Otherwise, we're about 15 minutes till 8. So if you don't have any questions, I'm probably gonna wrap it up. I gotta finish some back office work before we enter the weekend. But as of now, I don't really recommend people enter any specific trades at the moment. There's not even anything for us to take right now anyways. So either or, there wouldn't be anything, there wouldn't be any injuries. This right here is not a V3, just FY if you guys are wondering. The reason for that is because the entry candle here has a signal. So you can see right here on the note, says note, no signal on second candle. So there's a signal on the second candle. There's no entry for the V3 there. Kenny's asking, hey, Sean, have you thought of doing a K2 ebook? Not really, Kenny, not so much. I mean, I thought about it in the past, but I don't think it's really, because we already have the online courses. I think videos work better than ebooks. So that's why I think I would prefer to make videos versus the ebooks. Also, I'm not really big on the teaching side anymore. I mean, we still have our mentoring sessions, but I'm not, like, my main focus is just trading now. I just like to trade my own accounts. I don't like the stress of having to teach people. And it just takes up too much time from my day, right? The reason I got into trading was to buy back my time. Like before trading, I was an attorney, so I was working like, 10, 12-hour days. Now I trade for 1 hour a day with you guys in the morning. And that's pretty much it. I just trade with you guys here from 6:30 to 8, and then I do whatever I want the rest of the day. So I'm basically buying my time back. I'm not really going back into mentoring anytime soon. Maybe at some point, if I get bored, then maybe I'll start mentoring people again. But right now, I'm not really doing any one-on-one mentorships. And the most that I do is the weekly mentoring session. So yeah, I'm just not really in the mood to really be teaching people at the moment. If you guys learned from me in the past, you guys know, the value that comes with having one-on-one sessions with me. But it's the same thing with the group mentoring session. You guys can still ask me questions, but I don't really plan on teaching anyone specifically like anytime soon. Yeah, no, definitely, Maddie. I got you. Yeah, Maddie said, man, thank you again for doing one-on-ones with me multiple times since I started. Yeah, and you guys can see Maddie's progress, right? Like I literally mentored Maddie like one-on-one, and he's doing pretty good. He's only been trading for like less than a year, but he's super profitable. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people missed, well, not a lot of people, a good amount of people missed out on those one-on-one mentoring sessions, but who knows, maybe in the summer when the market's slow and I get bored, maybe I'll start mentoring people one-on-one again, get you guys to that level. But other than that, yeah, Peter said daily lives and weekly mentoring is all we need. Yeah, because I pretty much answer everyone's questions during those sessions too. So, all right, guys, I think that's it. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to email me or message me on Telegram. I'll be on live. Well, I'll be online for a bit. I got to finish up some back office stuff before I wrap up the week. But other than that, I think we're done for this week so far. So I don't know like what the totals are, but I'll put the totals together. I know we had one loss this week. It's fine. The losses happen. But overall, I'm still in profit for the week, so I'm not really too worried about it. And that's the key, guys, just being consistent. So other than that, guys, I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, have a great weekend, guys. Be safe. We'll be back here on Monday. Just a reminder, next week is Fed week. So we have a lot of news coming up next week, which will likely be a good thing for us. There's not much news there's no news on Sunday. So probably a slow day on open. On Monday, we have Fed member Brainerd speaking, which is going to be after the live. So probably not too much volatility and movement Monday. But on Tuesday, this is where it'll start to pick up. We have more inflation news, PPI, core PPI. Tuesday morning before the live. So we'll probably get some crazy movements like we did this morning. Wednesday, we have core retail sales, Empire State Manufacturing Index, import prices. There's a lot of news on Wednesday. So we'll have some volatility on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we have unemployment claims, Philly Manufacturing Index. And lastly, on Friday, we have Powell to J Powell to wrap up the week for us. He's talking at 5:45, so he's probably going to talk for an hour into our live session, and he's probably going to rock the market and push it back up slightly before to recover from the drop. I think next week we're going to have, for the most part, a bearish week, and then Powell will say good things about the economy and just bring it right back up slightly. So, all right, guys, I think that's it. Hopefully you guys made a lot of profit this week. If you guys have more profits to send in, just send them in the group. I'll add them to the list. And then I will post them up for everyone to see later today. So, all right, guys, have a great weekend. And I'll see you guys back here on Monday for Market Open. So.